accounting accountant, accounting, bookkeeping, you say that these work are what you call in the company staff work. Recording, budgeting, monitoring figures, recording figures, and making out what these figures are according to the performance of the company. Finance is operations, about money. Accounting records what finance is spending, what finance is earning, what finance is borrowing, what finance is bringing into the company. But they are not going to the banks. It's the finance that goes to the banks. That means finance is operation, accounting is staff. Okay? They are both there for what? Check and balance of the company. You see, when I am doing the check and I'm still recording, then I should be the owner. Right? But for companies wherein the finance is also recording and then the recording he can change because he's the one handling the money as well, then there's no check and balance. And it happens always. Some companies, in fact, even countries in other countries still a problem because they do not separate these two. In the Philippines, because we're following the American method of in this discipline of accounting and finance, we separate them. Does that now make you understand? Okay, when I say production and engineering, they're also separated because engineering is again staff. They design. They work on design specification after the detailed testing of where this material comes from, whether it's good item for them to use in production. Production is operations. They are on the line. Like finance is on the line, holding the money. Production is holding the product. They're deciding on the product, what to do with the product, what machine, how long, etc., etc. But engineering does the staff work. Again, if you are designing and then you're doing the production, and then there's a big question in production, and then you have to find out whether it's a design requirement or design. I don't want to go negative, but it's a design problem and not a production problem. You should be able to distinguish them. The same way that you should be able to distinguish whether it is a controller problem or a treasury problem, right? So there is a difference, and that is for the check and balance. If I were the one designing and then I am the one producing, then I only look at myself if there is something wrong or some problem, right? That is all. But if it's a big company, then we should be able to distinguish where the problem may be. And therefore, there is a command responsibility on both areas. The bigger you grow as a company, the more separate they are.
That's your question. So if you would sum up, finance would mean the operations, and the controller would mean staffing?
Budgeting, everything, all the figures you want. In fact, they stay in the office and they have all the computers in control. And they have the books, as we call it.
Okay.
They're the one who knows about figures, where it's going, and they're the one who controls the budget and give the approval of where you're going to spend the money of the finance. The finance has to secure that the company is well funded and it balances its expenses against its cash on hand or whatever. That's clear. So those are different. Those different you will see, because when we discuss the case, sometimes there is a say about whether who's doing what, but you should be now, based on function, be able to determine whether the case or the problem comes from a certain lack of understanding of function. And that will be a case that we'll be bringing even after this book, as you will see. Especially in third world countries who happen to be going, or in the developing country like the Philippines. It is still a developing country. If you go to abroad, maybe for some reason, they still look Philippines behind. For so many reasons. But you will also see that in other countries, they do not use the American system. if you use the British system of accounting and financial statements, it's different. But you would have to see where is it the annual to understand function. If you understand function, you can never, it's not going to confuse you at all. It's the same. But you should know the difference in terms of using words, semantics. That's all. But they change it. What we know is understand as financial statement is different from the way they present financial statement in the British system. So if you go to a country like Singapore, Malaysia, it's different. When you go to Europe, even more different. If you look at financial statements of European country or English companies, you see different use of words. But if you're an accountant, you don't get confused. You know it. As long as you know functions. Okay? And you have to do that. That has to be the first thing you have to understand. Because in cases, the case writer will confuse you. And if you're not keen enough to understand those things, and then you think there's no problem. You get me? So those are tricks of the cases to test you whether you understand. You understand management. You understand structure, as simple as this. You understand industry, as simple as this. Those are to enhance your analytical mind management aspect of an industry, company, a product, whatever, service. So those things will be handled. That's why, but I understand that not everybody has gone through a company operations like this, right? And then see this, and then see there's a production line. Although you may understand it. So what we try to do the first few days is enhance ourselves into the basic. This is why we have this movie. We give each group the assignment, present them in class, discuss it in the class on their own terms. For instance, we say your assignment is process. What's process? How do you understand process? I am a nursing student. Tell me what's process in the management class. If she said, I understand your presentation, I will take her as a gauge. Of course, she didn't ask me if I understand process. I have 35 years of that. Nagpukpukan ako ng ulo doon. Nagbulan ako ng Arabo. Whatever you call it, engineer can do. We have done somewhere else. But if a nursing will say, now I understand process presentation. If a tourism don't understand, or if somebody from the service said, now I understand process, then that will be my case to say, now you're making a good presentation of process. Do you understand me? Example is the best way. You know, anyway, it's not